Oh yeah, we're going intense today. The Karate Kid. Holy crap. Nothing is more iconic in freaking karate movies than this one. I mean, nobody has even dared to go better. Well, except for one, but we'll get to that another time. For right now, The Karate Kid, guys. Holy crap. Such a really cool movie. Not as much karate as you think, but let's get started with the story. The story is that a family who is moving away from New Jersey into California is coming over because the mother has a new job. So the son, of course, did not want to move to California. And this is where we first meet Daniel-san, who is just a very relatable character. You know, he actually doesn't want to go into this stuff, but he's a good guy. He generally is just a good person who is also a teenager. You know, he doesn't really know to make the right decisions at times. You know, he has a good heart. And the place that he's moving into is just it's a really rundown, crappy place. A crappy part of California in this really shitty house. And the mother tells him, oh, we need to fix the sink, so go downstairs and tell the maintenance guy to fix our sink. And this is where we meet Mr. Miyagi, his sensei, his teacher, Pat freaking Moriarty, or freaking Morita. Sorry if I mispronounced that, but he is Mr. Miyagi. He is an iconic character of teachers, sensei, whatever. He's like the Asian Yoda. And you don't really see that at first. You don't really think of him as like the karate instructor, only the fact that you see how well assessed his character is at that moment. You're like, yeah, he's going to have something to do with Daniel, and you know it. That's it. And at first, everything seems like it's going to be going good for Daniel. I mean, he gets invited to a party. He's starting to make friends right off the bat, and that's really cool for him. And then when he actually goes to the party, though, that is when the shit starts to hit the fan. Because even though he had fun at the party, and he's hitting on this girl who he really likes, and this girl's hitting back at him, and they both really digging each other, these douchebag 80s biker gang, yeah, okay, you know what? I'm just going to stop right there. Why is it in the 80s that every freaking gang that was obviously evil in the 80s have a freaking motorcycle set? Like Lost Boys, Karate Kid, come on, people, let's face it. Anyway, this group comes in, they roll on in, and they pretty much ruin the party because Daniel is talking to this girl who he used to date. And then Daniel is defending her honor when the guy starts whipping his ass, and Daniel fights back with karate that he learned from a book. But what he does not know is that these kids know karate themselves. They know some serious martial arts. Just whooping on him and just tear him to the ground and humiliate him and basically become his bullies. And we get a conflict back and forth between the bullies and Daniel, and they push him and he pushes them, and then one day he pushes them to the limit where they just cannot take it anymore, and they whip on his ass. And this is where we see Mr. Miyagi come in and save Daniel from this gang of just karate kids. We're gonna have a counter however many times I say Karate Kid. And Daniel asked him for his help after saving him from just getting pummeled and beaten, and just to put an end to all the harassment from the bullies. He asked Mr. Miyagi to walk him with him to the dojo and tell them to back off, basically. And he does. And when they go there, we meet the real villain, the evil sensei. I'm just gonna say, this guy is so ridiculously evil for a karate teacher from California. Okay, you know what? If they made this movie in Japan and he was like more of a traditional, I could understand a little bit, understandably making him more strict and real, you know. But this guy, he teaches karate across from a small little restaurant next to a flower shop down the street. Come on, people. That's a cartoon character right away. He is hilariously evil. But anyway, Miyagi comes up, tells him to stop. He says no, so Miyagi insists that Daniel does fight. But he fights him on his terms, which is they fight in a world tournament. Not world tournament. This is not Dragon Ball. I'm just kidding. They fight in the tournament in California. They agree. The tournament's in 2 months, so Mr. Miyagi is going to teach Daniel-san karate, and he's going to make sure those bullies never mess with him. And this is where we get to the great training that is well known in Karate Kid. He takes him straight to his house. He puts that headband on that looks really cool, and then he gives him a sponge and tells him to wash his cars. Yeah, no, seriously. He tells him to wash his cars. He's like, I'm going to teach you karate. You ready? He's like, yes, sensei, I am ready. Okay, wash my cars. At first, everybody's baffled. We're expecting a really cool montage sequence because it's an 80s movie. We're expecting a montage of him just like going, but no. Instead, what we get is wax on, a wax off, a wax on, a wax off. And we're just like, what the hell is this guy's problem? He's a douche. Or not really. We're really confused at this point because he's just saying, wash my cars, wax on, wax off, and do it exactly like this, Daniel-san. Wax on, wax off, and all that. So he goes away, comes back the next day, and he tells him to sand his floors. Just sand on, or sand on, sand off, sand on, sand off. He's basically doing labor on this guy's house, and he's not teaching him karate. And we're just like, what the hell are you doing, man? And even Daniel gets to that point. After 2 more mediocre chores, he tells him off. He says, Miyagi, you promised to teach me karate. You promised you were going to help me, and I'm being your freaking slave. And this is where we see the cool moment. Miyagi just gets all really serious, like, Daniel-san, come here. And he asks him to show him everything that he basically told him, like the wax on, the wax off, sand the floor, paint the fence, paint the house. And we learn that he was secretly teaching him karate through labor. At the same time, this is cool, and this is kind of a cheap way to be like, yeah, he's teaching you karate, but everybody, when they first saw this, was like, whoa. Because he starts throwing all these punches, and Daniel's blocking them, going up and down, and all that crap, and you're like, oh! So Miyagi is legit. And I gotta say, we didn't get to this point in the movie when we really learned he's doing karate until an hour 15 in. The movie is mostly building on Daniel's character, what he's going through, what the problem is, and how he's going to resolve it. It's a good movie in that it sets that up, and it's not just going into some kind of cheap gimmick of it just being all about karate. And that's why this movie is so memorable, that it really does focus on what Daniel's going through. How's he going to get the girl? How's he going to deal with the bullies? Is he going to learn to live just a good life in California? And the relationship between Miyagi and Daniel is great. I mean, they form an actual bond of friendship. All through all 3 movies, they are great friends to each other. Other than that, they are bros. Now, in terms of being very serious with this movie, there is some actual drama towards Miyagi's character that we get for a minute, but it's so thrown in there and slightly forgotten near the end that we don't really care as much as the movie wants us to. It's kind of a sad moment, but again, kind of forgettable. But the point we want to get to is the karate tournament, okay? 2 months of training, going through all this hell, dealing with the cliched bullies. No, I mean, not all the bullies are dicks. He actually earns the respect of one of them by the end, which is, you know, it's good. The karate tournament is really cool. I mean, in terms of what a karate tournament can be, the only thing I have to complain about is that the fights, sometimes the camera would be really close up on the characters and then pull back to the actual fights. I wish the fights were just like in regular framing so we could see every punch, kick, block, up and down, side to side, bam, 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 poof. So we could see it all, at least waist up. I mean, come on, don't have your camera like this when you're like, ah. Don't do that. We want to see the fights, but they make up for it by montaging all the fights to a really cool song. I mean, come on, just like, you're the best around, and no one's gonna ever keep you down. Oh, God. Sorry about that. But yeah. Daniel-san does fight, and he fights well. The training paid off, and he makes it to the semifinals. And this is where Dick, crazy cartoon sensei of the Cobra Kai dojo, takes it a little too far. He tells one of the students to break Daniel's leg. And I'm like, wow, dude, really? You are proving this much of a point to what? I mean, this guy really does not have much of a humanity to him. He's just an ass. I don't understand why he's an ass. It's just to prove a point that Miyagi said. Students are not the problem. Bad attitude comes from bad teacher. And yeah, this dude's bad. And that also wants you to prove a point that not all the students are dicks, but purposely they're taught this way by their sensei, which can be understandable. But anyway, at this point, we're all feeling it, man. We know Daniel could have won the fight, and you know what? So does Miyagi. So what does he do? He does some kind of crazy hot hand technique. Snaps his leg back into place so he can fight, and this was the best fight in the entire movie, admittedly. But again, it has some more of those close-up shots. And Dick Sensei has to be Dick Sensei again. I mean, the fight was pretty close. It was 2 points on 2 points. It was really cool. And then what does the guy do? Just grabs his leg, bam! Snaps it. Or hits it down a little harder with an elbow. Looked like it was going to break. So what does Daniel do? With his last hope to win this tournament, to earn the respect of the fighters, to prove to this Dick Sensei that he was not going to take it, to prove to Miyagi that he actually learned from his training. He does the freaking crane technique! What? This moment is so iconic. It has been parodied, spoofed. This move is just one of the most iconic things in movies. And you know what? This movie is awesome. Maybe I didn't explain it the best, but I'm telling you, Karate Kid is such a heartwarming movie. It's a feel-good. You will love it by the time you're done watching it, and you'll want to see more. Karate Kid was a staple of what a good martial arts movie and what a good character movie should be. It defined a genre, it defined a franchise, and it is freaking awesome, man. I will say Karate Kid deserves and earns the buy it rating on my system. This is the highest rating I can give it. It is so badass, and it's entertaining, it's funny, it's got some romantic moments, it's got some heartwarming moments, it's got some brotherly bonding moments, and it's just full of 80s goodness. If you have never seen this movie, you should watch it. What are you missing out on? A good-ass movie. So go watch it. Buy it, rent it, do whatever you gotta do to see this movie, and thank you guys for watching. I will see you on the next After the Show.